What's going on? People start tuning in here. Might get a little echo, I'm not sure yet. There we go. How's it going, guys? No problem. Thank you guys for coming on, asking me some questions. My first bike, PW50, I believe back in 1999. It's the first time that I actually got on two wheels, something that had a motor in it. Started on a bicycle and worked the training wheels off pretty quick, and then started in with the P-Dub. And I think actually the first time I hopped on one, I clipped a tree in the front yard, but kept with it. Good old days. I started riding when I was 4 years old. Started racing when I was 5. I think I tried for Loretta's 2002 was the first year. I believe I was 5 years old. But after that, I think we went back just about every year besides maybe 2 up until 2015. I believe 12 times total between PW50s and A class. Never really had too much luck there. Always kind of struggled for some reason. Been to Minos, yeah. I believe 5 times. No standout finishes there either. For some reason, whenever I get to the big races, I would kind of have my struggles, but kind of got those kinks worked out, I believe, within the last few years. Once I started actually training and riding, getting some seat time, I actually learned some things, so it's been good. Favorite motocross track? Spring Creek is definitely up there. That track is pretty fun, especially whenever it's nice and loamy. There's some local tracks actually that are around in my area and ball grounds that are up there as well. They got some good dirt. Monster Mountain out in Alabama, that place it's always pretty good. It's like riding in Play-Doh almost. It's a good track. No problem. Thank you guys for coming in. I believe I'm racing, possibly hitting the next Nitro Arena Cross out in Oklahoma, Claremont, I believe. Gonna try to make it out there. There's a weekend off this weekend, and then I believe it's Friday, Saturday of the following weekend. So I believe we're gonna try to make it out there. Race 250, 450. Been doing that for the past 2 or 3 weekends. It's been going pretty well. Probably try to stick with it, I would have to imagine. What would I make? What would you make 2019? Honestly, just good people around me, good bike underneath me. I think I think that if I do the work and do what I need to do, I don't think I'll have any issues. I believe in myself, and I believe in the program that I have going, and the people around me as well. So I think it could be a good season. Hopefully I can start making mains right off the bat, and then go from there step by step. I have ridden just about every brand besides Husqvarna, I believe. Husky is the only bike that I don't think that I've ever owned. I think we've owned just about everything else besides a Husqvarna. Even back in the 50 days, we rode a Lammet at one point. I don't even know if those are still around. I think they are. LEM. It's kind of an odd brand, I think. They're quick. What do I think about the YZ65? I think they're good. From what I've been around, there's a few kids that I work with during the weekdays that on the 65s, the YZ65s, and they seem like they're pretty good bikes. They're pretty solid. They never really seem to have any issues with them, practicing and racing on them all at the same time. So I'm fairly solid, I believe. So I'm trying to catch everybody's questions here. I've been around the YZ85s as well. They seem like they're pretty good bikes too. Super crisp. Sound pretty good. Favorite brand would probably have to be the red bikes are. Red bikes are, they're good. They're good. What do I do other than non-moto for hobby? I like to fish, I like to hunt. Spend a lot of time with the dog, with my pup. But mostly moto. That's basically what I'm doing 90% of the time. If not moto, then I'm off the bike working usually, or trying to train with kids. Trying to help kids out during the week. I have a black lab. His name is Remus. I did not name him. I adopted him, and that was the name that he had. So it was kind of odd, but how the plans come along for SX. I will not be racing A1. I'm gonna start actually on the East Coast. I believe the first round is gonna be Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we're gonna hit that one and try to get the bugs worked out right away. That's always a step to get around in itself, just getting the first one out of the way. So, and plan to hit the rest of them all the way through, and we'll see about Vegas at that point. So the schedule kind of bounces around a good bit too. So we're gonna be hunting, archery, and firearms. I have compound bows. I have a crossbow. I have a 25-06. I do my rifle hunting with. Haven't been able to get out too much lately, but last year was pretty good. Yeah, I'll be sticking mainly East Coast. I would love to get out on the West Coast. I think that there'd be a good opportunity, but it's a whole nother expense trying to get out there and stay out there, live out there. I'm from Pennsylvania. I moved to Georgia whenever I was 18 years old, and then I've been living here for about 5 years now, 4.5, 5 years. It's been good. Transition was good. My parents have wanted to move down here for as long as I can remember, but I was always that stubborn kid. I never wanted to move away from the home crowd. Um, what do I do now? When I'm not racing, like I said, I usually, if I'm not racing, I'm usually trying to train kids, or working off the bike. Um, you know, it involves a lot of traveling, so I spend a lot of time in a vehicle as well, driving them to, you know, myself most of the time. Is it cold in Georgia? It is pretty chilled. It gets cold at night. I think today, I actually went and rode today. It was 55, I believe, and sunny. It wasn't bad, but once the sun goes down, it gets pretty chilly out. What would your dream practice track, what would it look like? Probably a lot like something of, something that Dream Tracks has built. They build some pretty amazing tracks, especially places like Luke Renzen's place. That's a perfect example. If you guys have never seen that, you gotta look that up. That place is pretty unreal. They got a lot of booters, Supercross. They got outdoors. They got, I believe, multiple of both. It's a pretty good setup. Current pro I look up to, probably Roxon. I've always liked the riding style. He has always been super impressive to me, bringing his European style over here and then putting it to Supercross. I mean, he's always been, you know, really good on a bike, but you know, with everything that's happened within the last few years with all of his injuries and everything, and being able to come back from that is, I mean, it's wild. He's not human. I became pro in 2016. It was my first pro race. I did Amsoil Arena Cross, starting in January, and then raced some of the East Coast Outdoor Nationals, in the 450 class that year, on a KTM 350, which was interesting, but not bad bikes. What is the story behind 412? I'm from Pittsburgh. Well, not from Pittsburgh. About an hour or so outside of Pittsburgh. So 412 is the area code for Pittsburgh. Whenever I left and had to change my number from 141, I ended up choosing 412. And just running it. Been running it ever since. I like Unadilla or Southwick. Probably Unadilla over Southwick. I'm not the craziest sand rider. I'll ride it, but I don't so much enjoy it sometimes. The Unadilla track, the pro track, is really good. The dirt there is, it tacks up real nice. Besides the last 2 years, whenever it's monsooned and we were riding, and I mean the track was underwater. That was a whole nother story. What riding technique do you have to work on the most? As far as like outdoor riding goes, you know, we work on a lot of drill stuff. The technique kind of comes with it. You know, I like to teach a lot of gripping the bike. You know, where your body's at on the bike, where it's at when you're braking, keeping your toes turned in on the pegs. You know, gripping with your knees. All of that stuff's super important. It also transfers over to even Supercross and, you know, somewhat with woods racing as well. But who inspired me to ride, I would have to say my dad. He didn't ride or race much, but whenever when I was wee little, I just remember riding on the front of the bike with him, just riding through the trails, putting through the trails and stuff. And once he got me PW, it was over from there. P-Dub was I think we skipped the mini, went straight from the P-Dub to the senior class actually. I think we skipped the year in between. So do I like mud? I don't mind mud. I don't like whenever it's pouring down rain. I don't mind getting muddy, riding in the mud, but whenever it's pouring rain, we got to do it. But it's not preferred usually. Pretty decent in the mud. I mean, growing up in Pennsylvania, we rode mud quite often, so it's definitely not something that I miss. Fast lap decals on the back. Yep, Steve's taking care of the suspension. Steve Hollinsworth, fast lap suspension. He's gonna do my bikes for Supercross, and we're gonna work with MX Tech as well. Pretty excited with the setup already, and it's not even close to where we're gonna be for Supercross. So really excited to get some testing underway. What on your bike are you super picky about? I mean, I like to keep it clean no matter what. I guess keeping the wheels, keeping the rims, they get those watermarks on them. Your hubs do too, and so does the frame sometimes. They get that nasty color. I guess the motor and everything kind of gets that nasty color after a while. I mean, it's hard to prevent, but oh man, it drives me nuts. Does Remus come to the track with me? He does. He actually he went with me today, and usually just about every outdoor besides two of them I think that I did this year, he went with me. He doesn't. Whenever I adopted him, he was kind of skittish. So he's just getting past that point and being able to deal with the bikes. So he's getting better. How did you get number 13 for Arena Cross? I got the 13 from I didn't qualify. I finished 13th overall in the AX class, 2016. Overall for the season. That was my national number, and I stuck with it for 17, and then 18 as well. But for outdoors, I got to switch over to a 3-digit number. Looking to reduce that down to a 2-digit number. Hopefully this season we get some good finishes, get some points. I finished just outside the top 20 this year, in 2 or 3 different races. So definitely want to get there. We will. Do you like to get challenged on the track? Yeah, it's always good to be pushed. It's always good to have people that are faster than you, and being able to kind of pick that pace up. I mean, it happens often. Some of these guys can kind of find another gear in the middle of the moto. So, but no, competition's always good. No matter what, practicing, racing, it's all positive. It's all good. Favorite color is red. It has to be red. Got the favorite obstacle to hit. Rhythm sections on a Supercross track are pretty satisfying when you can rhythm through it and kind of do it in a smooth manner to where it feels it's kind of like a pump track on a BMX, to some extent. If you can do it smooth enough, it's a pretty good feeling. Whoops are fun too. I struggle with blitzing whoops. I'm way better to jump through the whoops, as odd as that may sound. Once they start getting chewed out, I don't know if it's how light I am, but jumping through them has always been my forte, especially the arena cross whoops, because of how big they build them. I mean, they build those things. You roll through them and your skid plate would be dragging. Couldn't even hardly roll through the thing. So sometimes we had to find a different way through. So, oh, thanks. The bikes, nothing too spectacular about it right now. It's just got some numbers on it and suspensions on too, and that's about it. There ain't much else going on. That's just a stock 250. Honda stock do look good though. Anyways, what type of music do I listen to? I listen to just about anything. I mean, basically anything from hip hop to country to classic rock. I listen to just about any of it. It's all mixed in on the playlist normally. So, how do I feel when I won my first arena cross race? It was pretty gratifying. It was a mud race, oddly enough, in Salinas, California in 2016, in the lights class. It poured down rain the night before. It was the first outdoor arena cross track that they had ever built and the last. And yeah, it just had the rain. California didn't get rain for like 4 weeks prior to that, or even longer than that. It was like a drought, and of course it had the monsoon on us whenever we showed up to race. 250, 450, or 350, which one do you like best? 450 is probably my favorite. The power, putting the power down sometimes is pretty good feeling. And just having the extra power when you need it. 250s you got to obviously ride harder, and the 350 you kind of got to ride like a 250, in a sense. You kind of got to rev them like a 250. It's kind of it's kind of one of those things where it comes down to preference as well. So the KTM 350 was good, but I had never ridden a newer KTM 450 at the time. So I just stuck with the 350 and rolled with it. 2-stroke or 4-stroke? I have a good time riding 2 strokes. A really good time riding 2 strokes. I think that I would pick a 4-stroke though. I would love to have like a 125 and do like a project bike and just build it from the ground up. But other than that, racing them, it's a good time. I mean, 125 racing is it always makes for tight racing because they can only go so fast. But I raced a 252 stroke for a pretty long time growing up. As soon as I got on a big bike, I was on a 252 stroke. That was my first big bike, so kind of had to get used to all that power in one spot. Are you going to miss arena cross, or do you prefer more spacious supercross track? I'll miss arena cross in some aspects, but I'm excited for supercross. Sorry. I think I'm getting sick. Whenever I raced the one supercross race that I raced in 2016 in Atlanta, and I was racing arena cross prior to that season, and whenever I got out onto the supercross track, I felt like I had so much room. I was actually able to open the bike up a little bit and breathe a little bit. That arena cross racing is super tight. you know, you're always either basically hitting somebody or about to get hit. That's that's basically the motto of it. So Supercross is nice. You got space to pass. You don't gotta slam people coming into the turn. So I'm excited for it. It's gonna be different, but I think it'll be good. What track was your first pro motocross race? I started at, well, if you count Amsoil Arena Cross, it was in Cincinnati, Ohio. But you know, as far as outdoor nationals, my first one was High Point in 2016. Was the first one that I tried for. I actually didn't make it. I made it the following weekend at, what was it, Spring Creek? I could be wrong on that, but I think it was Spring Creek the following weekend. We made it there, and I actually finished out the 2 motos for the day, which was an accomplishment in itself, you know, with the track conditions and the heat and being on stock bikes is just to make it through at that point was a goal in itself. So sponsors, still working on a lot of sponsors right now, coming into the season. But Fast Lap Suspension is doing the suspension. Cherubies is doing the plastic. I got Works Connection on board. Moto Seat. Pivot Works. Backyard Designs is going to be doing all the graphics for the season. And then moto stuff, they got a lot of trick stuff that I'm going to be putting on the bike as well. Mika bars, they handle the bars and sprockets, chain. Wheels, I'm not sure about wheels yet. Still got the stock wheels on my 450 at this point, but hoping to get those off pretty directly here. There's a lot of bar banging in arena cross, yes. Lots of it. I have 2 bikes right now. I have a CRF 250 and a CRF 450, and they're both 2018s. The one I bought new, and the 250 I bought brand new, and the 450 had a few hours. I bought it from a friend who was still in pretty good condition. So NEA Works races in Pennsylvania, yes I have, and they got a flat tire on the last lap. Had to deal with it in like the rockiest section on the course. So that was not very fun. Woods racing is not really my go-to. When you get a new bike, what's the first stock part that gets changed? Usually the bars. The bars usually have to come off first. And I'm starting to find out with some of these bikes and the way we've been riding them, the stock clutches have not been lasting me, but maybe 5 or 6 hours, and I'm not one to be hard on a clutch. So that's been kind of crazy the last few times. I think I actually busted my clutch plates in my 450 today when I was riding, and they only had like 8 hours on them. Still stock basket and everything in it, but what was it like lining up to 199? Lining up beside Pastrana. I felt like a kid in a candy store. You know, just it was surreal. It kind of hard to explain. I mean, just being a childhood hero growing up and watching, you know, everything that he was in, you know, coming up, and everything that he has done throughout his life is just mind-boggling. So just to be in the same race as him, let alone line it up beside him, was really, really cool. Dude's such a badass. Works Connection stuff is the best, hands down. Agreed. I have used their stuff since 2014, I believe, and I wouldn't go anywhere else. Have you ever raced in Massachusetts? I have. Worcester, Massachusetts. I know I'm not saying that right because I'm not from Massachusetts, and I probably can't pronounce it the way you guys pronounce it. Worcester, something to that effect. I was there at the beginning of this season actually. Um, do you use a lot of back brakes and turns? It depends. Um, with Supercross, sometimes you got to use a tad more back brake depending on what the track conditions are like. Um, Outdoors, we typically like to do all of the braking with the rear brake before we get to the actual apex of the turn, because the rear brake does stand you up to some extent if you're using too much of it. So sometimes it can actually hurt you more than it can help you. Front brake is your best friend. My favorite number, 412. I like 412. I used to run 141 growing up. 412 is kind of stuck now. But if I can get a 2-digit number, that would be that. I mean, that's the goal. What do you think is important for beginner racers to work on? I mean, this is obvious, but safety. Safety first. I've seen so many kids dart out on the track without even looking if anybody's coming their way. So I always, it doesn't matter if you're a beginner, safety is always first. But probably, braking, the little guys using the brakes, just starting out, I had a really, really bad habit of running my rear brake and never using my front brake. So, and that's a very bad habit to have. So if we can start them out using, more front brake than rear brake, or just front brake only, that's like one of the first steps that I would go with. Favorite movie? Southpaw is up there. Southpaw is probably one of my favorite movies. It's really the only one that I can think of that really sticks out. Besides maybe some funny movies, but do I watch WWE? I don't. My cousin growing up was so into WWE, and that's all he would watch, and I would stay clear of that. For some reason, don't know why. I don't know. Every time he had WWE on, I would go the other way. So I've never really gotten into it. Being from PA, have you worked with Brock Hepler? I haven't worked with Brock Hepler. I've ridden with Brock a few times. Never actually worked with him. Growing up, we actually grew up probably not even 45 minutes from each other. And I would go to his place every once in a while. He had a private track, and whenever I was on 85s, I would go there and I would ride here and there. And then once I got on big bikes, now that he's back racing, within the last few years, I've ridden with him a few times as well. But I know he helps some kids up there. I've never had any sort of training until I moved down to Georgia in 2015. So I've never had any, nobody really help or guide me one way or the other until that point. Any advice for a 65 or 85 rider? A lot of those guys as well. Front brake and body positioning. Those guys are going to start jumping stuff, bigger and bigger jumps, as they progress. So we typically want to keep that, the body positioning good. Keep it to where, some of these guys, they'll have their head further back, or they'll have their head further forward, or their bike will do a certain, kick sideways, or it'll do, a certain motion off the face of a jump, and they don't really know why. We like to teach, when the bike does this, this is exactly, You know, this is exactly what happened when it did that. We try to, you know, keep a reasoning behind everything that happens, so these guys can, you know, try to they can grasp the concept of why the bike did that when it did it, you know, what caused it. Does my family go to the track with you? They do, most of the time. A lot of the nationals they went to, most of the arena crosses they went to. They're usually at the track. If it's not too far, they're usually there. I mean, they've even hit some pretty far races within the last few years, just to help me out. Ever run any pro races at Pagoda? I don't even know how to pronounce that. Pagoda? No, I have not. I've never heard of that. Is that I guess where's that located at? Have I ever had any broken bones? I have. I believe 9 or 10 total. Recent one was a wrist. It was a dislocation and a pretty bad break that had to get reconstructed. My bone had to get reconstructed. My worst injury had to have been the wrist. I don't know if you guys can see that. I still haven't got much movement in it. Actually, it's pretty stiff. They told me it was gonna be 6 months before I could get back on a bike. Right before I had surgery. It happened on February 20th of this year. They told me it was gonna be 6 months, and got to about 3.5 months, and somehow I was healed up enough to where I could go and ride a turn track with a brace on. So doc cleared me to go start riding turn track, and I believe at 4.5 months I raced the Pro National at Spring Creek and got 22nd overall. I think 22nd overall. So not bad. We definitely cut down on the healing process. What helmet brand do I use? I use Fly. I run Fly helmet, pants, jersey. I run CD boots, EVS knee braces, and Scott goggles. That's usually what I'm running. I've been trying to stick with those guys for the last few years. How hard was it growing up playing football and racing? Well, I didn't do that very long. There was a lot of running back and forth, and the times always landed. You know, the time of motocross season, the time of football season was always intervened with each other. So I think that's actually why I quit playing football, because I wanted to race instead. Racing was definitely the go-to. So, current gear setup, like I said, Fly helmet, Fly pants, jersey, CD boots, EVS knee braces, and Scott goggles. This is the setup right now. Should riders ride or race while having a concussion? No. Excuse me. Whenever at the beginning of this season, I had a crash that knocked me out, and I went to the doctors and they told me to wait 2 weeks. It was a week and a half, and my body felt 10 times better. I felt like I was back to normal, and I had a race that weekend for arena cross, and I talked the team into let me give it a try. You know, I felt good, like walking around on my feet and everything. Got got on the bike, and I did 2 laps of time qualifying, and could tell that I was off. My timing was off. Couldn't really keep my feet on the pegs. It was odd. Just felt off. It was really hard to hit the downsides of my jumps. What's even crazier was I believe I set like the second fastest lap time, and it stuck like the rest of the day, and I only got like 2 or 3 laps in, and I don't know how I felt like I was about to crash just about every turn that I hit. Oh, okay, private track. That makes more sense. Huh. I've never heard of Pagoda. Never heard of it. Interesting. Do I play or have I played any other sports? Growing up, I played basketball, football, obviously racing, and that was about it. Other than that, once I started getting more serious about racing, um, I basically cut the other sports out and ended up just going with it. So, what brace do I use on my wrist? I run the All Sport Dynamics and as well. I started using their braces right after this wrist injury, and I don't think I would run any other brace. They're pretty solid. And it locks out, to a certain point. It doesn't go past that point. So in my wrist, it's good for it because I can't go past that, a certain point either way. So, favorite TV show, Family Guy. Family Guy is the go-to for the TV show. Usually watch a little bit of Family Guy just about every day. Great taste in boots. CD boots, they're good. I've ran them for two seasons, and they're pretty solid. It's cool how you can interchange just about any piece on them or replace just about any piece on them. How do you keep up with the big names in outdoors? I don't. I try my best to. But some of those guys between they're on another level. Hands down. Yes, I've heard My Bike's Too Lit multiple times. My mechanic's son is 9 years old, and I swear that's the only song he knows. Blast that stuff in the van going to the races. Were there any girls on your football team? I'm the only girl on my football team, and I have a concussion. Oh, well, there was actually. I did have a girl on my football team. Now that I think back to it, she. I think she played all the way through Pee Wees, and I don't know if she kept playing after that. I quit right after Pee Wees, so I didn't play for very, very long, but the concussion thing is not something to mess with, though. That's definitely, you definitely want to take your time with something like that. The head is nothing to play with. What was one thing you'd like to see the industry do to help out the privateers in sport, as they're a backbone of racing? That is as far as, kind of the way I see it, and I'm sure you guys have probably heard this as well. If they can put up $1 million at, Monster Cup and then another $1 million to a fan, why can't they put some of that money back into the program for the guys, coming through, and, the guys that are trying that, it's especially the 250 class. 250 class, the payout for Supercross is, that's one of the reasons why I'm running a 450, because the payout is a little bit better. But I would like to see some of that money go back into, to being paid out to, to each spot. I don't think they pay out enough. You know, I've went to plenty of amateur money races and made way more than I have even at some of my pro races, even some of my best finishes. So, you know, I would like to see some of that money go back into the payout, into the purse. Yeah, the wrist brace is good. I haven't had any problems with them. They're pretty solid. Favorite season: summer, winter, fall, spring. Probably fall, just because riding. I mean, I don't mind riding in the heat, but you know, whenever it's a nice 60, 65 degrees out, it sometimes is a little bit more enjoyable than going out there and riding when it's 100, and you know, gets pretty gnarly. You know, I have a daily diet. I do. I try to stick to. I eat this might sound crazy. I eat a lot of peanut butter and honey. You know, a lot of peanut butter and honey. A lot of chicken and broccoli, grilled chicken and broccoli. Eat a good bit of rice as well. A lot of fruits and vegetables. Typically, I try to keep myself as clean as I can. Usually, it makes me feel a lot better when I'm on the bike. I've done seasons where I haven't done any daily diet, and it's not good. Do I go to the gym? I don't go to the gym. I basically do all my work at the house. I have a stationary bike. I also run a good bit, so I have some weights in a weight bench, and I can basically do everything I need to do at the house. So I don't really need to go out to the gym. Concussions are not fun. They're no, never push a concussion. Hands down, never push a concussion, no matter the circumstances. With arena cross gone, should there be even more money from the pony out for the privateers? I believe so. I mean, if they were able to do that, I mean, I think it would kind of bring racing back to life in a sense. It's so hard for these guys to afford to even show up to the races. Is it as expensive as it is nowadays? It's really hard if you don't have somebody backing you, or somebody helping you out with at least the expenses. It's nearly impossible. And you know, to be able to work a full-time job to make enough money to do it, and putting in all the time to be 110% serious about it, it's almost too much. You know, so yeah, I believe that. I think they need to somehow distribute it, you know, evenly. Favorite fruit? Oh, strawberries. Blueberries are too. Probably strawberries or blueberries. I can't really pick between the two. Those are my two favorites though. Peanut butter and honey is good. Yes, exactly. Favorite food? Pasta in general is probably some of my favorite food. Grilled chicken is also like one of my, like, I could eat grilled chicken just about every day and never get sick of it, as crazy as that sounds. Who is the sponsor kicking in the most help 2019 season? I'm in the works with talking to, I'm not sure what we're gonna do exactly yet, but I'm going back and forth with a guy right now. Excuse me, out of Buford, Georgia, which is only about 30 minutes from me. We're gonna be meeting up here next week and talking some things out, and I'm gonna be taking them, you know, kind of a list of the things that that we need, kind of our wants and needs, and we'll see what he thinks. What would I like to do after racing? Probably continue to train kids, just because I'll still get to be around the sport, and I'll still get to travel to the races to help these guys out, and I'll still get to ride. I enjoy helping the little guys, and even some of the faster guys as well. I enjoy being around the process and watching them grow, watching them get better every day. It's very unique. And I never had the the training aspect growing up. So I really respect the way that the training facilities put together these programs. And just being able to work with the guys, I respect it. So it's probably going to be one of the things that I could do. Dream team to be on. I'd like to be on a Geico Honda team. That would be probably pro circuit as well. But the Hondas, man, they are my favorite. And they've been my favorite for a long time. I've never really ridden them until this year. So I'm excited every time I get to ride it. I just enjoy riding them. So okay, favorite vegetable. Peppers and broccoli are probably my two favorites. Favorite food to eat on Thanksgiving. Turkey and the noodles. Turkey and the noodles. That's usually my favorite at Thanksgiving. So, who do I ride with regularly? A lot of the time, I haven't been lately, but I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with Andrew Matusik. I put a lot of time in riding and training with him at Hazardous MX since 2015. So he, he's kind of been my my training partner, my riding partner. But the last year or so, I haven't got to get out too much as I've been traveling. So I'm always bouncing from Florida to North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama. So I'm always riding with different people typically. So Andrew he's a great riding partner and he's a great trainer as well. The dude knows what he's talking about. Have I raced in Canada? I haven't raced in Canada. I would like to. We thought about going up there for some of the Triple Crown Series, the Supercross that they have up there, or the Arena Cross, or whatever they consider it. But didn't really have time to get everything ready. I would definitely like to, though. Definitely like to. Do you prefer AX, MX, or SX? SX is my favorite, and then probably AX, and then MX. SX is the rhythm and the timing, the jumps, the whoops, the turns. Being able to flow on a Supercross track is very unique. It's a unique feeling. So, what's the one thing I miss about being home in PA versus traveling all the time? Probably just being around family and friends all the time. It's, the traveling, I lost connection. Oh, sorry, that's probably my Wi-Fi. It's pretty great. Do I like to travel? I do like to travel. Traveling is it doesn't bother me. I mean, I it's mostly, that's mostly what I'm doing. You know, if I'm not on my bike, I'm either traveling or working off the bike, usually. Um, I usually travel by myself to the races or with either my mechanic, usually just me and the mechanic, and then my parents usually meet us, you know, kind of wherever we're at. So, my first ever sponsor, oh man, I'm not even sure. Maybe, I think actually back in the day, in 2002, whenever I was at Loretta's, Fox actually gave me two sets of gear at Loretta's. In the 4 to 6 class, I finished second the first moto, and one of the Fox reps came over and gave me a set of gear, and then told me and my parents to swing by a little bit later and gave us another set of gear. And I think the following year I didn't actually get the race, unfortunately. So everything that I had kind of built up, it kind of took me a while to get back into the groove of things. What was one of the most greatest moments for you in racing? One of the best moments, probably winning the arena cross races, the lights class races. I mean, that's a pretty big accomplishment for me. Just you know, especially in 2016 and 17 when I was on bone stock bikes, besides suspension and a pipe. You know, it was always pretty gratifying to be up there fighting with those guys, let alone winning races. Kind of had to ride the thing a little bit harder, but yeah, kind of talked about the injury earlier. Gnarliest injury would have to be my wrist. Dislocated it and broke the scaphoid into a million pieces, and they had to bone graft and reconstruct it. And it was a pretty gnarly process, but we got her back to as normal as she's gonna get, I think. Yeah, it wasn't fun, I can tell you that. That was this year, so I was 22. 22 when I broke it. I broke my first bone whenever I was 6. Broke my collarbone for the first time on a PW. It might have been 5 actually. Anyway, I broke my collarbone for the first time. Mom was trying to pull me off the track. I wanted to get back on the bike and finish the race, and she wouldn't let me. I think it was... Sorry, internet's doing whatever it feels like. 15 megs a second, that's right. 0.15, even better. Oh man. Broke my collarbone pretty young also, yeah. Lagging. Sorry about that. I'm not really sure what else to do. Mom isn't on the Netflix. Bones are bruised. I tore some ligaments in the back of my knee one time. Back in like the 9th grade. I don't even know how. I don't remember what happened, if I hyperextended my leg or what I did. I just remember the pain was like completely different. The pain was like completely different than like a broken bone. It was like, I don't know, it was undescribable. It was pretty gnarly. Yeah, I played basketball, football in high school. Well, not in high school. I played basketball in high school. It was basically, kind of cut the other sports after we started getting kind of serious about dirt bikes. So, yeah, muscle tears. Yeah, it was not pleasant. Not pleasant. No, I don't even have a battery in the bike behind me. I can't even start the thing, let alone give some revvy right now. Did I go to college? I didn't. Basically been racing full time. It's been the full time job. So, um, man, we're past an hour. All right, I'm gonna do a kind of a trivia question, do a giveaway. I know we talked about this earlier. What year did I move to Georgia? First one to answer it gets a signed jersey and a set of signed goggles as well. I got it sitting right here. I took notes. Not 13. No. 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 Nope. Keep guessing. 15. 15 is the winner. Who we got here? Where did you see that? Moto Faith? How about it? Yeah. Yeah. So Moto Faith, you're the first one to guess it. You get the signed jersey and the signed set of goggles. I didn't actually sign the goggles. I signed the tear off in the front of them. I didn't really want to sign the lens. I know some people do. The jersey is behind me. Whoa, didn't mean to do that. Everybody needs to go check out the privateer program, or my privateer program, on the MotoHub app. Go ahead, shoot over there. If you guys haven't already downloaded the MotoHub app, go ahead and oh, Alexis was first. Sorry about that. I must have missed it. All right. Right on. Well, that works. But yeah, go ahead and check the MotoHub website out if you guys haven't already. We'll get the yes, it was 15 for sure. Moto Faith said 15 first, it looks like. I think. That's what I'm seeing. Sorry, I'm just a little mixed up here. Thank you, Garrett Rockley. Thank you. Appreciate that. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, and everybody else on this thing. Early Thanksgiving. The answer is 2015. Thank you guys for tuning in. It wasn't 13. It wasn't 13 or 14. You guys have the best Thanksgiving as well. we'll you always sound so good in the air. I was wondering what brand of what brand of rev limiter I use. It's called a Honda. I don't know. It looks like we have a fight for the jersey, and yeah, Alexis looks like she's the first one. I don't know. Y'all have me confused at this point. I thought, how about we do this? How about we split it? We'll do one item to one of you guys and one item to, so one item to Alexis and one item to Moto Faith. Does that work? Can we do that? Does that settle our feud here? All right, so we'll do goggles to Moto Faith and jersey to Alexis. How's that work? Does that work good? All right, perfect. All right, we can do that. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna hop off this thing. It's been an hour and 7 minutes at this point. I keep rambling on. So thank you guys for coming in. Go ahead and check out the MotoHub app if you haven't already. Go check out the program. So thanks, guys.